Okay. Okay. So, we've been doing a lot of, techniques trying to understand what happens inside the form and why we do them. So last week we did some movements from the third form, and we do, the middle blocks and so on. And then the punching exercises that we do, we don't just do them just as a sake of exercise. Exercise, a lot of people think it's just, building muscle or building strength, but actually exercise is doing drills and moving, and your body over time starts to remember them. So let's just do the basic front kick that we do in every warm-up, but do we understand what we're doing with those movements? So we're in a ready position and we punch. So a punch is off your lead foot, and then you follow up with this. So the synchronization is 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's like a combination. You're going punch, punch, and kick. Punch, punch, and kick. So it's good to develop at least one good kick. Some styles that all they do is kick. They have multiple kicks. But in self-defense, it's really some really basic fundamentals. So if you block, this punch and this punch is both blocking and punching. So we know what that means, blocking and punching. We know this is a block. We know this is a block. We know this is a block. Because that's classified as a block, you may think that's the only way to block, right? But actually, when the hand goes out and it draws back, that becomes a defensive mechanism, right? If my hands are out like this, right? So he's not going to punch me right in the hand. Right? He's going to punch me either here or he's going to punch me here, right? So he punches here, I have to move my hand up. If he punches here, I have to move my hand down, right? So that's when you move your hand down, what do? You drop your elbows, right? So what do? We're here, and he punches, that's crossing. So what did I do? I tilted and turned. I essentially didn't really have to move my arm. If he punches to my belly, I drop my elbow, and I use that as my defense. So dropping your elbows, like we told you to drop your elbows with punch, that's dropping your elbows. That's defense. That's a defensive. Because you think of opening and closing. And when I punch out, I open. I open this. Because if I do this, it's closed. So when you close the movements, it's more of a defensive action. When you open the movement is more like an offensive movement. So if you think of that as striking, but striking can be even classified as a defensive movement. In other words, if he punches and I punch, that's defensive, offensive movement. What I did was I changed the angle of the movement, or I intercepted this. What I did was, instead of stand here and wait for his punch to get here and then try to deal with it, I change the angle of the movement, and then I punch here. So that's kind of, like in boxing, or they might be calling it slipping to the side or dodging, evading. Evading and avoiding is two things that you have to do. So avoiding, if I'm here, I might do this. I might do this, right? So if my feet are here, I can move to the side. I can move to the side. That's sidestepping. And you're doing that in your forms already. A lot of times you step forward like this to bridge the gap. But then in some of the forms, like in gung kuen, where you step, then you turn, and you step, and you turn, that's initiating a sidestep. In the second form, when I move like this, and I come in, then I move like this, then I come in. That's sidestepping. It's stepping off at a 45 degrees. So if you look at this cross hand position, cross finger, you have this line here and a line here. That's a T. When you do your first form, it's a T formation you're doing, or X formation. You're going around, right? Then in between there, you have your corners. So those corners make like a star. So the corners, you're 45 degrees. So if I step like this or I step like this, that's 45 degrees. If I'm standing here, I step like this or I step like this, that's going into the other corner. That's sidestepping. When I move forward, advance, I move backwards, that's retreat. I move directly to the side, move directly to the side, that's sidestepping. So we have a lot of those kind of leg transitions in the form, but we don't pay attention to it because all we're paying attention to is memorizing a sequence. But we don't understand why we do those. But basically what you're doing is moving to the side and moving to the side, right? So with the same hand position, we do this. Let's try this. Ready, position. You might be doing it in a sparring class with mine, I don't know, but you're here. That's basically moving like that. So when we move, and we move, that's angling 45 degrees. Now if I did a double step, 1, 2, that's turning the corner. Turning the corner is something you do when your opponent is here. So these are just samples of what happens. If someone punches you here, you sidestep. Now he's over here, so I have to actually turn back into that direction. So the basic fundamental, you have this 1, 2, 3, and you have 1, 2, right? So this movement and this movement will go together, right? This movement and this movement goes together. So we're going like this. 1, 2, dragon. Now, this hand and this hand, left and right. So I just move 1, 2. That's breaking it down really simple so you understand what you're doing. Now, if you want to just close your hands because you rather use your fists, then when he comes in, you do this. You use your arm and then you use your punch. You see? So just because we do a lot of open hand movements doesn't mean that you can't use them when they're closed. Because a lot of people don't want to be injuring their fingers. So when your hand comes in, you say, well, how do you, when you move, he punches, right? So that happens pretty quick. Remember last week I went like this, right? It's over here. So the hand is already there, right? So it looks, very effective because I could use this, I could use this, I could use this, I could use any one of these pieces I could use. So basically, we all line up and try this. We can all face this way. So this becomes like a mini form too. We all like this. 1, 1, 1, 1. You see, my hand is here. If a punch comes here, I block like this. The punch is still coming here, right? But if I go like this and I go like this, I moved out of where the line of the punch is coming, and then I put my hand here as a guard. Now because my hand is here, it comes up right through here. Yeah, it actually can come underneath. Yeah, because when you go like this, what can happen when you go like this? Yeah, I would get like this, right? He throws a punch, I'm like this. Yeah. So if you block, right? You block, and then you go here, then this hand gets trapped inside. So when you go like this, then this is here, then it comes in here, and then this hand is still free to follow up with the next punch. See? So that's why when you do these, you're 1, 2, right? 3, 4. Now you don't 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gives you an idea. Now when we do this, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got one hand goes back, one hand goes forward. So you should have that same maneuver when you throw a punch. You don't want to go like this, 1, 2, and leave that stuck there, right? What you want to do is, what you really want to do is go like this and then draw back. Because why? Because when I go like this and I punch and this hand is dead, I leave myself completely exposed here, right? So what you want to do is go 1, 2. So now my hand is here and it's going to protect here. Because if something else came here, I could respond by doing this. So do we know this movement? Looks a little different, huh? It looks a little different. Because what you're used to seeing is this. But this position is essentially that. See? So when you learn all these crazy movements that you're learning in the form, they just seem like a bunch of movements, but actually you're training. You're learning to move your hands in different places because you're dealing with the space, right? But then we don't have coordination, because when we're like this, and you move the hand, and you move the foot, and you move the leg, it doesn't work like that. You have to be working in a synchronized way. So if you're like this, you're going like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So the hands and the legs start to work together, right? And that's how we 1, 2, 1, 2. You see how that is? So when we move, last week we were talking about when you shift, you feel a little, the weight goes a little back before it goes forward. Because if you just go like this, stand here, you can't move. There's a sudden shift. You're almost pushing off this leg. When I get it here, it's pushing off this leg. So the direction of your movement is, all you do is point your toe in a direction and push off this leg. See? Okay, so we know this, right? We know this. So we'll combine those two. Combine those two. And you have a side step. Okay. Now, if you just want to practice a block, it would be like this. So if you have a partner, he throws a punch to the chest. And remember, his punch, this block is only effective in this space. This block doesn't work when he punches to my face. This does not work for that. You have to know where the technique goes. So you practice in knowing where it's going to, so you can control it. I'm like this, and then like this. Now, if it's lower than my sternum, like right here, this, then you just have to drop. Now, he went really low. If he goes really low, then this is the hand you should use, because this one would throw me off. Then I can't take the step because it'll be like this. So you'd have to use this one, and then do that. So because, and you say, well, what's that one? Well, when you're like this and you're like this, so in other words, you'd have to do this in order to use that. So if he went low, you'd have to do this. But if he went low, that's his mistake. You know why? Because if he goes low, he's actually exposed here. But most people don't attack low. They actually attack for your head. Most people like to knock you out, and they want to hit you in the head. So that's why you want your guard to be in the center position. So in the center position, oh, you all right?
I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to go low. Yeah.
Oh, you want to go low?
Yeah, I was just going to show him low. But when you're in an on guard position like this, all right, this is low. That's not what you're, probably worried about. It's this one. So when your hand is up, not to the high, yeah, high to the head. Then your hands are here. Or if you're not using this one, then you use this one. So it's just this. It's hard to detect until you do it enough, because your eyes have to be trained to kind of see where it's going to go. So initially, when you practice these with your partner, you have to like prearrange it so that this is what you're working on. So he throws a punch, right? You work this. He throws a punch, you will work this. Then eventually, when you see something, then it's going to feel you're going to be able to respond to that, because the response is a reflex. You can't do it once or twice and then think it's going to happen, just at any point. Now, if you do forms long enough, these positions, you don't have to kind of imagine them because you already know them, right? A low, middle, and high, we know this, right? And we know this, and we know this. You do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's double. You know, the thing is, you're just moving your arms. Just get used to moving your arms. Okay. Then moving your legs is it's just doing this. 1, 2. So let's try the legs first and then do the hands, right? Ready? So stand like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Move your hand. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, you see how that is? You got a right and a left, right? So let's kind of tighten it up into the center here. Okay, you want to all move in toward the center? Yeah, you can come in over here. Yeah, Jasmine, you can stand here. Victor, you can stand there. Yeah, you can come in this way. Don, move in. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a right or a left punch, right? And what you have to do is respond. So if I go this way, you go that way. If I go this way, you go that way, right? So you have to kind of watch my hands, right? You don't know which one's going to go. So I go like this, right? Then you have to go that way, okay? Right. So ready? You're in a ready position. So this is so Lawrence, we're doing this as I'm the only offensive person. So all you do is have to see if your mind connects with your hands. So because a lot of times you have to think about it. So first I'll call it out. Right is right, left is left. Ready? Right. Left. 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 Yeah. Left. Right. Left. 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 Right. Right. Left. Left. Okay. So I got myself mixed up. Anyways, so you see how when you practice, that's what has to happen. It's kind of spontaneous. Now then, let's see if you can go like this. 1, 2. Now you have to step, and punch. So you step, punch. Stepping this way, step, punch. Now the left leg might have a little trouble getting up. Okay, so this, I'll slow it down a little bit. So I'm going to say right, and then you go this way. You got to do a double step. Ready? 1. Then you should be turning back to me, right? So you have to. This is called turning the corner. Remember, I go this way, and I have to turn the corner. I go this way, I turn the corner. Turning the corner is going back into your opponent. Yeah. All right, ready? Okay, we'll go with the right first. Maybe we'll just do a bunch of rights so you get coordinated like that. 1. Okay, but go into step, but don't go into suspended stance. Go right into like a sliding step so you really get the offensive side of that. Ready? 1. Yeah. 1. Now all you do is have to do this. Remember, between here and here, you have imaginary center line, right? You want to close your center. Close your center, right? The idea of closing your center is to protect yourself. If you go like this is closing your center too. That's not a good way to do it. That's just defensive, right? That's survival skill. Cover yourself up. So if you go like this, that's covering yourself up. But cover yourself up with the idea that you're going to strike out, right? So if I close my center, I'm like this. But then I'm going to strike out. Okay, so I'm going to do a right side, and you're going to do a right turn the corner. Ready? 1. Okay. 1. Okay, let's do the right again. Boom. Okay, let's go to the left now. Now you're going to go like that, right? 1. 1. 1. Okay. 1. 1. 1. 1. So one of the things is follow your hands. Gaze towards your hand. Because you don't, when you move, you're looking here. Don't look over there and think you're going to go over there. You have to keep your eye on using your hands. So hand-eye coordination. Hand, and then hand, and then. So you're always gazing in the direction. You don't stare at your fingernails or anything like that, but you look in a direction. Okay, so when we talk about the 5 quadrants, hand, eye, body, waist, and stance, hand and eye. When you do your forms, your eyes are following your hands. When you're doing techniques, you're following your opponent. But you use in your training the idea of tracking. So you're always moving in a direction. So if you turn, your eyes have to track that direction. Okay, so that's something that you have to be aware of. But this is what I'm doing is really fundamental. Once you learn this, you can do a dragon. Once you learn this, you can turn it into anything based on those 4 movements, right? So moving to the side and turning back in. Moving to the side and turn back in. You can add a sliding step. You can change the size of your movements in your step, or it varies depending on your opponent, right? Okay, so when we're here, try it again to your right, boom. Now when you're here, the timing, once you move, then this has to come out directly, and then it follows up. Okay, so this is getting you set up for here to here to here to here. So I just threw 3 punches with sliding steps. 1, 2, 3. Now if you go like this, side step, punch, and then stand here and go boom, 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 boom. Nobody's going to be standing there waiting to throw those punches. They're going to be moving, so you have to be able to move. Right, so that's the strategy. So you're here. 1, 2. We want 2, 3, 4. This familiar? It's called a challenge. The wheel punch. Your wheel punch is what you're going to draw off of. So once you slide, like he throws a punch, once you slide, boom. You see the first movement, boom. My second movement is part of the wheel. You see, that circular motion is not just so that I can go boop, 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 boop. I can turn this hand down and this comes up and then it comes up again. So it's a cycle. That's your challenge trick. That's effective in many situations. Because in self-defense, the person's close enough to you and you're in a position to be able to strike. But you have to strike, otherwise the person will just grab you if they're bigger than you. So you're going to be in not a good situation. So use the chill and chill like that. Yeah. So it's down. This is more defensive where it comes up like this. The reverse of this is this, right? So if he throws a punch, I just defended myself because I went backwards. So if I go backwards, maybe I can come underneath because I came like this, then I came in like that. See? So direction of movement is what you learn when you do your forms. That's a direction, that's a direction, that's a direction, that's a direction. So for every direction you go in, there's always the opposite direction, right? So that's, just to give you sort of an open mind about your movements. You say, well, where's opposites? When we go up, don't we go down? When we go down, then we go up, right? When we go up, we can change it to that. But this concept, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 is fundamental. That's basic. This is also what I just did with the circular movement. While we're doing this in the class, we're doing this and we're doing this. This, if you tie it with your sliding step, becomes that. Just like in the third form, you're doing this, right? Right? Your sliding step. That's a sliding step. In the form, it looks like you're, like a duck walk. You're just moving. So you can go like this to here and kick, or go here and punch. You see, the hands and feet are always synchronized because the power comes from the feet and the legs. If you move back, it works like that. So the hands and the feet, have to be totally synchronized and coordinated. So these are things that we try to build, in this class, so you develop an understanding. But that's something, if you can work with a partner. I was just doing that so you can do the pattern. Because when we break off and you work with each other, and neither one of you know the technique, then all you're doing is banging your arms, but there's no development of footwork. The angling, the changing of direction is very important. See that? You know what I mean? So that's, typically what you learn in your form. When we stand like this, to start off, your shoulder width stand. When we stand like this, 45 degrees, and we square the feet, that's how we do the exercise. Sorry. All our exercise like that. We pivot, turn it back into the 90 degrees. Then we have a turn. There's how you turn the corner. Now once I turn the corner, this is where I walk. That's where I walk. But you don't really see that if we just did that in the footwork. But it's there when we step. Because when we step and we turn, when we step and turn and step, there's how we define our direction. To the front, 45 degrees. Okay, good. Hope you got something out of that, and we'll work on that next time. All right, ready? Right now we're building understanding.